The 28th of July, 2026, Kumamoto Prefecture, Japan. At 1627, the Japan Meteorological Agency's emergency earthquake early warning system was triggered. Warning radio waves broadcast across the Kyushu region at the speed of light, but the extreme proximity to the epicenter created an unavoidable physical blind spot. In Yuki City and Hikawa town, within seconds of residents receiving the alert, destructive S-waves had already reached the surface. The early warning system failed to provide a sufficient physical evasion time window in the face of an extremely shallow inland earthquake. The seismic magnitude was calibrated at 7.1, with a focal depth of merely 10 kilometers. Massive tectonic stress was released instantaneously in the shallow crust, transforming into high-frequency, strong ground motion. The surface acceleration in Yuki City breached the conventional redundancy limits of standard seismic architectural designs. Instruments recorded the highest intensity on the Japanese scale, seismic intensity 7. Geological fault slips directly tore through surface road networks, causing lateral displacement in elevated bridge structures. The Aeon Mall in Kashima became an amplifier of structural vulnerability. The high-density commercial space experienced massive ceiling collapses under the impact of shear waves. Gas leaks triggered a violent secondary explosion, sending plumes of thick dust. Laden smoke spreading into the surrounding areas. Evacuation routes inside the mall were physically severed, trapping multiple people in the debris and exposing the systemic failure of large commercial complexes under extreme seismic vibration. The intense, destructive seismic waves radiated outward, penetrating the defense lines of modern urban infrastructure. Power was severed for over 40,000 households in Kumamoto Prefecture, and the Kyushu Shinkansen triggered an automatic power cut emergency braking system. Torn by geological faults, underground gas pipeline networks suffered physical ruptures, initiating a chain of secondary disasters.
Forget.
By evening, at least 12 civilian residences were confirmed to have collapsed. The medical system began receiving patients suffering from injuries caused by falling structural debris or falls, with communication base stations damaged and power lost. Regional information nodes experienced severe degradation. The initial phase of rescue deployment relied heavily on aerial reconnaissance by helicopters and grid-based ground searches. The initial 1-meter tsunami warning was lifted 2 hours later. Tide level monitoring data along the coastline indicated that the fault rupture did not cause massive vertical displacement on the seafloor. Mechanisms of social mutual aid unfolded in the blackout districts. Residents utilized backup power supplies and shelter provisions to maintain basic survival needs, waiting for heavy machinery to access the core collapse zones. The core physical mechanism of this earthquake was a typical shallow inland crustal fault slip. The Kumamoto region sits directly above a complex active fault zone. Tectonic stress accumulated over a long period breached the friction limits of the rock layers, resulting in brittle internal plate fracturing. The extremely shallow focal depth of 10 kilometers meant the seismic waves suffered minimal attenuation as they traveled to the surface. Broadband ground motion, carrying enormous energy directly coupled with the natural frequencies of the buildings, triggering fatal resonance destruction. As night fell, the aftershock network remained continuously active. This event exposed the systemic loopholes in high-density commercial buildings when facing ground accelerations that exceed design baselines. Despite possessing the world's most dense seismic monitoring network, infrastructure redundancy remains insufficient against urban expansion positioned directly over active fault lines. The automatic shut-off mechanisms of the gas networks failed to entirely prevent localized explosions, and the evacuation designs of commercial complexes were rendered ineffective under extreme physical destruction. Crustal activity continues, and the countdown to the next stress release has already begun.